everyone, welcome back to Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. My name is Stacy. Today I'm going to try something that's been out there for a little bit now that I haven't tried yet and I've been wanting to try. And it's doing Mod Podge using the iron-on method. And you're supposed to have less problems with the back side of the calendar pages bleeding through and less wrinkles. So we're going to give it a try. It's something I've wanted to try for quite some time. So I'm going to be using the 2022 Farm Fresh calendar from the Dollar Tree, and I've taken out the print for April, which is this cute little bunny laying in a nest on it like a wreath. I'm going to use one of these pot screens from the Dollar Tree to be my pattern to cut this out. But first I want to get this painted so that it can get drying so that we can get on with what we're going to do. So I've decided that I'm going to use yellow to try to pull out some of these yellow items in this picture. So I'm going to be using Waverly Maize colored paint. I've also seen that or heard that you don't have to paint the whole pan, just the edges. I'm just making sure my paint is stirred together here. It's getting kind of thick and old. So I'm just going to paint the border around my pan. And they say that nothing shows through. So we're going to go with that and see if that holds true. So I'm just going to paint the edge. It's going to take a couple of coats on this metal. Not a huge fan of yellow, but I like this maize color from Waverly. It's getting harder to find Waverly though. My Walmarts are not carrying it anymore. Okay, one thing that's very important if you're painting, especially these metal pizza pans, you've got to let it dry in between, and then once you heat dry it, you got to let it cool for a second. You don't want to bake your paint on. But if your paint is not dry when you put on that second layer, it's going to peel it up. So be very careful about that. All right, here comes the second coat. I usually go with 2, usually 3. Sometimes I can get away with 2. On the white chalk paint, I can usually get away with 2, but when there's colors, for some reason, it usually takes a 3rd coat for me. All right, so now I'm getting out some white Waverly chalk paint. There, in this picture, there are Easter eggs that have little yellow Easter eggs, actually, that have white polka dots on them. So I'm going to capitalize on that by using the tip of a brand new pencil eraser. I'm just going to dot randomly. My paint's kind of thick. It's not working like I wanted it to. Well, I'm committed to it now, so this is not going to be my best work. My paint's too thick. I need to thin it down. So what I'm going to do is just brush it out. All right, I'm going to set this aside to cool off and finish drying. And now I'm going to grab my picture and my screen, splatter screen pot topper. And this splatter screen will cut just the right size circle to go inside of a pizza pan. So if you're doing pizza pan crafts and you are needing a way to get your placemats and your calendar pages cut to the right dimension, get one of these. It's really helpful. You can use the handle one too. The drawback of this one is it has a screw right here, and the drawback of the handle one is it has a handle right there. So I like this one because that's how I work. It's just moving from the center. Makes it easier for me. You get whichever one works for you or whichever one is available at your Dollar Tree. All right, now I'm just going to cut on my pencil line. In the past, I've taken the time to paint the back of my calendar pages black and then trim them so that I wouldn't have any of the calendar writing from the other side to show through. From what I've heard with this iron-on method is that you don't have to do that step and that you won't get any wrinkles. So we're going to put that to the test. I have some Mod Podge here. Mod Podge brush. Okay. I'm going to pour a glop of Mod Podge in the middle. And I am also going to brush this over my painted surface on the edge because that will help protect it from scratching. But you want to make sure before you do this that your chalk paint is dry. Okay, if it's not dry, it's going to peel up. Try to keep your brush strokes kind of even and nice where they're going to be seen especially. Because the texture that is showing in your Mod Podge is going to show once it's dry. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought out there as to how much Mod Podge you need to put on. I'm going to put a medium thickness coat. I'm going to split the difference. Some people say you need a super thick coat. Some people say a thin coat works fine. So I'm just going to go with what I would do as a normal layer of Mod Podge if I were gluing it on. Do your best not to have any puddles. It needs to be as smooth as possible because you're not going to be rolling this out and getting, the excess moved around like normal. All right. Now, supposedly, I'm sorry, I'm not a firm believer in this. I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. I've seen it work on videos. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to let this completely dry. And I've kind of left this side a little brush strokey over here because I want to see if that shows through. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. I'm not going to dry it with my heat gun. I'm just going to let it sit aside and dry naturally. Once this is completely dry, we'll come back and heat up the iron and see if it works. Okay, my Mod Podge is mostly dry. As you can see right here from this white, this part is not dry, but for the sake of experimentation, I'm going to attempt with this being, I can touch it, but I can also feel it moving around underneath the skin of the Mod Podge. So it's mostly dry, but not completely dry. I am going to be using nonstick parchment paper. Pick this up at Walmart, and you're going to want a piece that's big enough to cover your entire piece. Okay. Center your graphic in the middle of your pan and cover it with the parchment paper. You know, let's kind of roll it backwards so it's a little flatter. Putting it down, and I've ordered a mini iron to attempt this with, but all I have right now is this great big iron, full-size iron, and I'm going to use that. I have it set to a setting with no steam, and I've got it on the synthetics with no steam. So my picture is centered, and I'm just going to set my iron onto the parchment paper, trying not to scratch my paint with the sharp tip of my iron. And just move it around is what they all say to do. So I'm moving it. It's going to get more heat in the middle just because I'm using a big iron. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. And I'm just trying to make sure I get all of the edges pushed down really well. It is buckling my pan. I don't know what to do about that just yet. All right. Pull this off. No, it didn't buckle my pan. It buckled my, buckled my silicone mat. All right. It is flat. It doesn't have much in the way of wrinkles. It does have some wrinkles over the spot that was thicker and wetter and, still a little damp. Needs a little more on the edges. Over here where it was thicker on the edge, it's bubbled up a little. And that's where I think having a smaller iron would come into play. Easier to work with. I'm going to try using the back end of my iron for the edge. The back end of my iron isn't as sharp, so I'm going to try that. All right, let's take another look. It is stuck down really, really well. I don't know if you can see. There are literally no wrinkles in this except right here across the bunny's bottom, except right there on the bunny butt, and that's where the wet Mod Podge was. So what I'm saying is it is important that your Mod Podge be completely dry. If you have a thicker spot, you got to wait till that thick spot is dry. But everywhere else, this has stuck down really, really well, and there are no wrinkles. Okay, I am a skeptic no longer. I don't even think you would need to put another coat of Mod Podge over this because the paper's made to be out. However, that being said, I can see the word May through this print right here. And everybody said, oh, if you do the iron on, it won't show through. Baloney. I can see it right there. I can see a number right there, and a number right there, and a number right there. So my recommendation would be to paint the back of, either paint the back of the picture or paint the inner circle of the pan black, because that will hide the words that are on the back of the calendar page. Okay, now I still have Mod Podge here. That's not paint, that's Mod Podge that hasn't dried yet. But I was a skeptic. I really didn't think this would work, and it has worked nicely. I am not going to continue to finish this pan and make it beautiful because I am not happy with my paint job. So I just wanted to mainly see if the iron-on technique would work, and it does. I have never tried it before, and I've had it on my list of things to do for over a year. So if you want a quick and easy and less messy way of doing your Mod Podge, this is it. Iron-on is good. So I have a little hand iron, rechargeable mini iron, I guess is what it was called, that I ordered off of Amazon, and it will be here on Tuesday. So I will be doing another, I'm sure, another video showing you that. But this does work, tried and true now, and you've watched me do it. So anyway, if you want to do some quick Mod Podge, go for it. All right. Let me know what you're thinking about this project in the comments section below. Are you going to give this iron-on method a try yourself? If you do, make sure you put some heat absorber between the pan and your surface. I really thought that this silicone mat will handle the heat better than it has, so I should have put a towel under there. Note to self for later. It'll cool down and then I'll be able to get the bubbles back out. But do protect your work surface and give this a try because it is awesome. Now I want to try it on a charger plate. Charger plates are plastic, so I'm not sure if that will work or not. So I might wait for my little iron to get here before I try that. But let me know what you're thinking about this project. Will you give it a try? Do you like doing Mod Podge or do you dislike it because of the wrinkles? But this is virtually wrinkle-free except where my Mod Podge was still wet. So, all right, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and that helps my channel to grow. This has been Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.